Previously on Lost. Wait, they forgot that part! Hey everybody, this is Lou on Lost, episode 8, Recon. Overall, this was a good episode. We find out some surprising stuff that I didn't think I would ever expect. We also find out about some stuff on 2007 Island. But overall, this was a nice, steady episode, and it's actually in preparation for the big episode next week with Richard. Alright, let's get to the show. So we start off in the 2007 timeline where Sawyer and Jin are waiting for Flock and his crew to come back at the camp. Jin lets Sawyer know that he's not leaving or going anywhere until he finds Sun. And Sawyer promises Jin that they're not going to leave without Sun. So Claire goes to her old camp and Kate follows her in there, and she sees that really gross looking fake baby that Claire's been taking care of for the last 3 years. And she gets a little weirded out from that. She asks Claire what that is, and is like, well, that's all I've had for the last 3 years. So Flock starts to make an announcement, and as he's making this announcement, Claire goes and holds Kate's hand. And Kate's just kind of looking at her the weirdest way. And Claire's looking back at her in a weird way, too. So as they're walking through the jungle, Flock and Sawyer decide to have a little talk. Flock lets Sawyer know that he's actually the black smoke monster. He's the one who killed everybody in the temple. And Sawyer's not really surprised, and you can kind of tell he knew already. Flock goes on to tell Sawyer something that I thought was a little funny. It's either kill or be killed. And I don't want to be killed. I don't know, just the way he said it, I started cracking up. So as they all stop, Kate approaches Saeed and asks him if he's okay. Saeed goes on to say no. As he says no, Claire takes Kate from behind, throws her on the floor, and is about to stab her with this gigantic knife. Flock sees what's going on, rushes over, throws Claire about 5 feet in back of him. Claire gets up, goes after Kate again, and then John Locke was just holding and like shaking her, telling her that she wasn't there for Aaron, that Kate took care of Aaron, and she had no choice. And then Flock winds up slapping the crap out of Claire. Woman beater, woman beater, Flock's a woman beater. But in all seriousness, Flock had to hit Claire. Claire was going crazy, she was trying to keep going after Kate. He had to cool her down. You also have to remember, Claire is not all there, so you can't just talk her out of it to not do anything bad. Alright, let's go back to the 2004 timeline for a little bit. So Sawyer is in bed with yet another woman, and he goes on and he says he has this deal to do. He goes, gets his briefcase, the money happens to fall out of the briefcase, and she knows that he's playing her in some kind of way. She goes, gets a gun, points it at him, and then he lets her know that he's after her husband, and that he's a cop. Yeah, right, Sawyer cop. He's just trying not to get shot. So Sawyer says the magic word, LaFleur, which we know was his name back in the 1970s, and all of a sudden these cops start rushing in, they handcuff her, and they take her away. And we also see Miles as his partner. Oh crap, Sawyer's a cop. Oh god, Sawyer's a cop! I honestly did not expect Sawyer being a cop. But I guess I can see it happening considering that everybody in the 2004 timeline has had something change about them that was the opposite of 2007. Some examples. Jack didn't have a good relationship with his family members like he did with his dad in 2007, but now he has a good relationship with his son in 2004. Hurley had bad luck in 2007, now he has good luck in 2004. Sawyer was a con man, conning everybody, now he's a cop saving people from cons. It's just like that. The only one we really don't know yet is Kate. Kate we just know is still a convict and a slut. So we'd see Detective James Ford sitting on the phone looking for an Anthony Cooper. We know that Anthony Cooper, back in the 2007 timeline, he's the one who conned Sawyer's mom, and then Sawyer's father killed her and then killed himself, which left Sawyer all alone as a kid. We see that he's on the phone with him, and as Miles approaches him, he says that he's not looking for this person to like kill. He says, oh, it was a friend I met up back in the trip I went. So we know that something's a little fishy with that. Or maybe something changed, at least till this point. Miles goes on to tell Sawyer that he actually has a date for him, because this Sawyer is dedicated to his work. He doesn't have a lot of girls, he's not married, no girlfriend. Complete opposite of what the 2007 Sawyer is, obviously. So Sawyer goes up to meet with this mystery girl somewhere, and we see the red-headed Charlotte sitting at the bar. So they talk for a little bit, they seem to like each other, and then they wind up going to Sawyer's house and doing it. Sawyer has seriously been with a lot of women on this show. At least I'm wearing my Lucky Sawyer t-shirt today. What? It's true. Charlotte asks for a shirt, he tells her the top right drawer. She goes in the wrong drawer and finds files that says Sawyer on it. Inside is a family photo which looks like little Sawyer and his parents, and he gets really aggravated and tells her to leave. He tries to make it up to her by going to her apartment, bringing her a sunflower and beer, but she doesn't buy it and closes the door on him. He leaves the sunflower on the floor, but not the beer. Alcoholic? So later on, over at the police department, Miles goes and tells Sawyer that he ran through his credit cards and found out that he didn't go where he was, and in fact he went to Sydney, Australia. Miles has a really hard time trusting people, because throughout the whole episode he goes, "You can trust me, man, you can trust me." Sawyer goes on to explain that it indeed was Anthony Cooper who conned his mother and made his father kill his mom, etc., like I said before. So that also proves to us another thing about the 2004 timeline. It would appear that their past will always be their past, but maybe their past changed when Jacob came and touched them. Notice how Sawyer's parents died the same way it's been throughout the whole series. So maybe when Jacob came to give Sawyer that pen when he was a child is when Sawyer's life changed, when he went to a different path. Remember, Jacob always gave you two options. You can choose not to do something or do something. So maybe the 2004 timeline is the path they didn't take during the 2007 timeline. Here's another example. John Locke became paralyzed because Anthony Cooper pushed him out of the window. Then Jacob came, touched John Locke, and then he lived his life during the 2007 timeline. But maybe when Jacob touched John Locke, he became a very more forgiving John Locke. He went down the other path, the path that he didn't choose from the very beginning. Now you can argue the fact that Hurley got touched after he was on the island and that Kate got touched when she was a kid, but maybe there was another time that Jacob touched Hurley that we don't know about yet. And maybe when Jacob touched Kate, yes, she still became a convict, but maybe she just became a totally different person. We know that she was actually caring with Claire and whatnot during 2004, and she wasn't really like that during 2007. I think that is an awesome theory. Now at the end of this 2004 timeline, we see Sawyer's car get hit by somebody. Sawyer runs after him, brings him onto a gate, and we see it's Kate. And Sawyer's face just is so priceless when he realizes that he's the one who let her go in the beginning when they got off LAX and she was still in handcuffs. To go back to the 2007 timeline, Flock tells Sawyer to do some recon on the other Hydra island or Hydra station and tells him to find out what he can and to come back with some information. When Sawyer goes over there, he runs into some girl who was lying, saying that she was the only survivor of this plane crash. She tries to get some information out of him, and he knows what's up because he's a con man. All of a sudden, there's people with guns pointing at him, and he winds up walking with them through the jungle. So as Sawyer gets to the station, they see that they're putting up these giant things that look very similar to what Dharmaville had to keep the smoke monster out. He goes into a little submarine and finally meets Charles Widmore, the guy he knows so little about apparently. Sawyer gets to the point. He says, listen, you want the black smoke monster, you want Flock, I'll lie to him, tell him the coast is clear, bring him here, you guys can do what you gotta do. Charles Widmore has really nothing else to say and just kind of agrees with him. And then when Sawyer gets back to the other island to let Flock know what's going on, he told him exactly what he said. But Sawyer at this point is really not on anyone's team. He just wants to get the hell off the island. I mean, that's pretty badass considering that there's a superior being that can probably eat him in like one little thing. And he's also messing with probably one of the wealthiest men in the world as well. Sawyer doesn't care. He wants to get off the island, and he wants to take Kate with him. As for Charles Widmore putting up those sonic things to keep the smoke monster out, I know last week I said that I think Flock and Widmore are on the same team, but at this point I don't think they're on the same team anymore considering what he's building. Maybe they're both bad guys working on different teams. I still don't like Charles Widmore. I don't trust him. I don't trust Flock either. I think they're still both bad, but they also are a rival against each other, and they just, you know, are fighting for their own thing. Questions to think about. What is Charles Widmore and Flock's plan? Is this 2004 timeline going to actually combine with the 2007 timeline? And what the hell is going to happen with Richard next week? Next week's episode is entitled Abatano. Like my Italian accent? Once again, thank you guys for turning into this episode of Lou on Lost. I make a new video every Wednesday. Make sure to check those out, and I will talk to you guys later. Make sure to check the following people's videos too. They work their butts off and they do a really, really good job.